part is you're on a boat. So forgive me. That you're on a boat and you set your sail, and what you're trying to do is you're aiming for the target. You're trying to get this ship, this boat, to get to this port. And this port is your mission. Now, as an example though, just to give it some legs, do you know what the mission statement would be for Life Church, as an example? Does anybody know what it is?
What we're doing right now is providing good homes is the tenants.
Yeah, but do you know what the mission statement is for Life Church? Right? Okay. So, you know this thing at church? You ever seen this thing at church?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So on the back, it says, disciples glorifying God together. Okay? So as an example, not Daystar, but as an example, at Life Church, the mission statement would be disciples glorifying God together. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, in order to get to this purpose, there's some boundaries that we're going to stay within. And those boundaries are kind of our codes of conduct. We refer to those as our values, right? So, do you know what the values are at Life Church?
Life.
Love, individual destiny,
Faith experience.
Evangelism. Everyone. Evangelism.
and evangelism. Okay? So those values, love, individual destiny, faith, they serve as the boundaries in which we're going to operate. We don't go outside of those boundaries. We act within those boundaries. But if you've ever sailed, you know that sailboats tack, right? They go in one direction for a while, then they change, they go in another direction, depending on the wind, and then they change and they go again. And that is what the vision is about. The vision might vary from time to time. For example, you see this picture up here. It says Reverend Ken Charlton, founder of Daystar. So at one time, Ken Charlton was the pastor of Life Church and the founder of Daystar. Of Eastdale, but I call it Life Church, but okay, all right. So vision number one was moving in a certain direction with Ken Charlton at the head. And I don't know who came after him, but somebody else came along. So Paul Everett would have been there. I'll just put Paul. And then at some point, I know from my limited experience, I know that Pastor Power.
Stephen Welcome.
Yeah, and at some point, Pastor Power would have been there. And now we have Thomas Zimmerman. And each of them brings a uniqueness to the church. And given their uniqueness, it shapes the way that we're going. We're still aiming for that target, but it shapes how we do it. For example, I believe in my heart that one of the things that Pastor Zimmerman is gifted at is working with children and working with families. So I don't know how long the academy existed, but I suspect he helped create it. But I could be totally wrong. I just made that up. I don't even know if that's true.
It was here.
It was here?
When I came.
Right.
Just when I came.
Just getting started. So it's something that pastors invested a lot of time, a lot of effort in. And so part of the vision, that might be V2 and V3 and V4, an important part of the vision of where Life Church is going now has to do with the children and has to do with family and that kind of thing, because that's an area where he's gifted, okay? So the purpose of drawing this up is to say that when you know what your mission is, you know what your target is, you're going towards your target. When you define what your values are for your organization, they set the boundaries within which you're going to operate, okay? And then depending on who's leading at at different times, there's going to be a slightly different vision because things will change. What I mean by that is environmentally, things change. There'll be times when the cost of building is extremely high, relatively speaking, so you might not choose to build during that time period, and so on, right? So things will change. So what's important is that you can then, as an organization, Daystar, as a group, you can say, okay, we're going to have a couple of meetings or however long it's going to take you to come up with your mission statement, which will be the target of where you want to go. You can take time to put together your values and your vision, which you recognize might be a 5-year plan. And that's going to get you moving toward your target, recognizing that 5 years from now, it may shift slightly as you go on a slightly different tack, but you're still heading toward that mission, that purpose. That's still the port that you're going to. That will then help you when you have to make a decision like, should we add additional units or not? If we were to add additional units, who should occupy them? In other words, should the units be for people that have disabilities? I'm probably not using the right terms, right? But people that have a disability of some sort, or are we going to cater to unwed mothers, or are we going to cater to single mothers with children? Or are we going to have families, right, where it's husband and wife and children? So those are all the kinds of things that once you've got your mission statement down and your values down, you can start visioning, and that will help you make a decision about, should we add additional units, shouldn't we add additional units? Okay? Is that helpful?
Yep.
Okay. All right. See you guys on Wednesday night. So would you like me to leave that, honey, and you bring it home,
Yeah, I can
or
bring
you
it
want me to take it, or?
We'll leave it here.
Now you can leave.
Okay. Now I'll leave it here. Okay. So do you have any questions, or? Well, my intention was to keep it short, because I know that you have other things to talk about. The only other thing that maybe I'll do, but if you think I shouldn't, I won't, is just give you this as an example of what it's like, kind of like having a blueprint, right? Can you read it?
I'll make sure I bring that.
So imagine that if the bold letters were the things that you were concerned about, the not bold letters, you're just gonna, they represent the usher team at Life Church. So they're specific to the Life Church usher team. Oh, there's one thing. Okay, you're welcome. So what I'm saying is, if you look at this, imagine that the word Life Church usher team was gone, and what was there is Daystar board, right? And then the word philosophy, the capitalized word, you keep that, but the stuff in writing below it, you can get rid of. However, the definition is important. So the philosophy, a worldview is a system of understanding reality, our mindset. So what is Daystar's mindset? What is Daystar's worldview going to be? So the part where it says, we believe that a Christ-like, that part is the part that you can replace with something else for Daystar. And then where you said see values, it's defining values are the boundaries of our conscience, our being. So that part could stay, but the part we choose to embrace the following core values, that's what you're going to have to decide whether you're going to choose to. So this is the part that I wanted to say. Obviously, Life Church had, Ken Charlton had influence in the very beginning of starting Daystar. Okay? Now, this is just my opinion, but in my opinion, it was something that grew out of the church, right? So what you might want to do, and if it was me and I was on board, but you get to do what you want, so it's just my opinion, okay? So you can put it in the garbage anytime you want. My opinion is to keep alignment with Life Church, I would encourage you to strongly consider the same or similar values. Okay? Maybe you might change one or two, or maybe you're going to keep them all as is. Because to me, if it's something that is birthed out of this other organization, it makes sense that it's traveling along the same track as the other one. An example might be integrity. If integrity is a value, right, then you're not going to do something illegal here at Daystar just to make more money, right? So then you can't step out of those set of boundaries, right? So that's why I would encourage you to strongly consider possibly keeping those. But when it comes to principles, the boundaries of our conduct, that would need to be different. Like the principles in here, the practices in here, your ground rules in here, the purpose down here, the motto even, those things I think need to become unique and individual and specific for Daystar. So some of it you may keep around the values, but the other things is really up to you and your board to make your decisions on.
Thank you so much, Tom.
You're
I
welcome.
have a question.
Any question?
Yes, my question is,
No.
after we've had this conversation
Yes.
amongst ourselves, when
Yes.
you go away,
I'm gonna go away, yes.
if we choose to pursue this, would you help walk us through it?
Yep,
Okay.
I will. Absolutely. I was gonna make a joke, but that's why I kind
I thought you were going to tell him.
of.
I have to understand the psychology behind it.
Yeah. That's just like being told. I was just told.
I didn't want to say that.
In our language, I was just told.